at this meeting. It's the first Monday of every month from 2:30 to 4:30. And we always have...
Third Monday.
Third Monday. Where have you been?
I'm thinking about my board meeting. Our board meeting, but I'm sorry, you're right. Thank you for the correction. The third meeting of every month, we meet at the Country Club of Miami Springs for the Funster Party. And we have, a lunch, we have a program, we have entertainment, dancing, and we give out door prizes. That first Monday is our board meeting, by the way. If you ever want to come on over to it. Another one of our main programs that we've been doing for 17 years is called it's with the Dade County Safe Space Battered Women's Shelter. And we've been doing this for 17 years. We've been involved with this program. This is a shelter for battered women. And you wouldn't believe the women that come into this shelter with their children. They come in with broken noses, broken arms, all beat up. They've been beat up by their spouses. They've been beat up by their boyfriends, whoever they're living with. But when the call goes out to the Dade County Police Department, they go over there and they arrest these guys. These guys get arrested. And the women are brought to Safe Space, the shelter for battered women and their children. Now when they come into this program, we educate, we have schooling for the kids. And these women have their own little apartment with their children, and they're given food, breakfast, lunch, and dinners. And we also try to educate them how not to go back to that same program where they get beat up again. Not to go back to these guys that they can't live with. A lot of these women that come in, they live with guys, they live in broken down homes, no electricity. They live in a very poverty-stricken area. But they don't have to live the way they do. We try to teach them a different way to live it. But we bring them into our safe space, and they can stay there for 6 months, longer if necessary. Some leave before the 6 months is over. But during that 6 months, we try to teach them not to go back. I just want to tell you one real sad story. 5 years ago, a Latin lady and her 2 children was brought into the shelter. Her husband was arrested. She was beat up real bad. When she came in, she was beat up all over her face. She was bruised everywhere. Her husband beat her up bad. When these women come into the shelter, we ask them not to call their husbands, not to call their boyfriends, not to call their significant others and tell them where they're at. But this lady, after being in safe space for 1 week, called her husband. And when he got on the phone, he started crying and telling her how sorry he was that he did what he did to her. He beat her. He said, "I'll never, ever hit you again. I miss you. I love you. I miss the kids. I want us to get back together." And this guy was crying. She told him where she was. And she set up a luncheon date with her and the 2 kids to meet with him. He came over in his van, picked her up, and they went out for luncheon. They weren't even a block, 2 blocks from the shelter, and they got into an argument. He drove her straight to a parking lot in a shopping center, took out his gun, and killed her. Right in front of the 2 kids. So we ask these women that come into the shelter, until the time is ready, do not let people know where you're at. We don't even give out the address of the shelter. But it's a good program. It's a really good program. Back in 1994, remember when O.J. Simpson supposedly killed his wife and her friend? Well, in those days, 94% of the women that came into the shelter went back to the same guys that beat them up to put them into that shelter. After the O.J. Simpson, we started doing a lot of promotion for these women, how they can take a little interest in their own lives, have a little pride in their own lives, and be responsible for their lives and their kids, and not always go back to these guys unless they go into some type of a training program. Well, since we started that program, today a lot of women do go back to the same guys, but they've been in some programs that help them reunite their lives. But less than 50% today of the women go back to these same guys that beat them up and put them into the shelter. It's one of the best programs that we've had over the years. One of the things that we're involved in is we have our own Rotary Club, and we have a lot of social programs. Our social programs are called firesides. You know, we have a party at somebody's house in the club that's called a fireside. Some of the things that we do in our club that keeps our club active, that keeps the members there, is we're involved in a lot of things that we have fun. Just 2 weeks ago, and we've been doing this for 11 years, we took the bike ride around Shark Valley out in the Everglades. I don't know if you've been there. It's a 15-mile bike ride all around the Everglades. You see the alligators, you see the deer when they're out there, you see the birds and all the animals. We've been doing that for 11 years. We did that 2 weeks ago. And we had about 25 members show up and go on the ride. We had a great time. We meet for breakfast, and afterwards we meet for lunch. We have a good time. Once a year, we take a bus trip down to the Keys. We stop at all the waterfront shops along the way. We stop at some of the places where they have parties going on, where they have entertainment. And then about 5 o'clock, we end up at one of our members' homes. He lives right on the ocean down in the Keys on mile marker 75. We have a barbecue at a party at his house. We call that our fireside. And then afterwards, we get on the bus and come back home. We get back at the country club about 11:30 at night. We've been doing that for, I guess we've been doing that for now like 7, 8 years. Every 4th of July, we get a flatbed truck and we drive it around Miami Springs in the 4th of July parade. Maybe some of you have seen it. I'll tell you in a minute what we do, and I know you're going to recognize it. But on that truck, we have all the members, we have some of the grandchildren, and we throw candy to all the people along the roads. Well, a couple years ago, we started something different. A lot of our members now bring out these big water guns. So we start shooting the people along the road with water guns. Well, the people along the road, they have water guns to shoot us back. And some of the people that live along that road, their homes are along the road, they have their water hoses stretched out to the road and we can buy. They just spray us. Well, you know, in July, that's kind of hot month. And it feels good to be sprayed by all that water, you know. So we have a great time. That's one of our best times during the year, that 4th of July parade. We have an annual light cruise every year. Our club members, we get on a boat. We go up, sometimes we go to Fort Lauderdale Inland Waterway. Sometimes we go to Miami Inland Waterway, and we see all the Christmas lights along the way. We have a great time. We have a good time doing that. One time, sometimes 2 times during the year, we have a day at the races. Go to Calder Racetrack, we have lunch, and I always lose a few bucks, but some of the guys make a few bucks, you know, you never can tell. But we have firesides a couple times during the year at different members' houses, party and so on. We have a good time. The Hialeah Moose Lodge has been a donor of ours for the last 8 years for our Funster group. They give us a little donation every month to help us out with the cost of our Funster group. So once or twice a year, and we have it coming up in a couple weeks, I think, on February 13th. We have a dinner dance. It's a joint dinner dance with Rotary and the Moose Lodge, at the Moose Lodge. It's a great evening. Let's have 100, 125 people there. And during the year, we have a lot of other events. We have a lot of good times, a lot of fun people, and we've met a lot of great people here in Miami Springs, a lot of good friends. And you know, a lot of the friends I met here in the Funsters, they're like my friends that I've known for like 30, 40, 50 years. And I don't want to mention any names, but if they don't insult you, it means they don't like you. You know? But anyway, we have a good time at the Funsters. I want to thank you for being here tonight. I really do appreciate it.